My name is Emma, and this is the story of how I found my way through the darkest days of my life. The story of my learning route. It's not a straight path, and it wasn't easy, but sometimes the things that hurt us the most shape us into who we're meant to become. I was 14 when life started feeling heavy. It wasn't sudden, like a storm crashing in one night. It was slow, like a steady drizzle that soaked through my skin. School felt harder than it should, and I'd sit at the back of the class pretending to listen. My friends, they never knew what was happening inside me. I smiled when they told jokes and laughed at all the right times, but it felt like wearing a mask every day. I remember one evening in October. It was cold, and the autumn leaves covered the streets in shades of red and gold. I sat in my room, tears rolling down my cheeks, holding my math notebook. The numbers blurred, and my heart ached. I had tried so hard, but I just couldn't get it right. That was the first time I cried so hard that my chest felt like it would burst. "Why can't I be like everyone else?" I whispered to myself. My mom knocked on the door and I quickly wiped my tears. "I'm fine, Mom," I lied, forcing a smile. But inside, I was sinking. Days turned into weeks, and my grades began to slip. Teachers said I wasn't focusing enough. They gave me advice, but none of it helped. I didn't want to tell anyone how lost I felt. Talking about it made me feel weak, and I thought people wouldn't understand. One night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. My heart was heavy with loneliness. I kept wondering if things would ever get better. The thought of quitting crossed my mind more than once. But then I remembered something Dad once told me when I fell off my bike as a kid. "Emma, when you fall, it's okay to cry, but you have to get back up. That's what makes you stronger." His words echoed in my mind, and I cried myself to sleep that night, holding on to the smallest bit of hope. The next morning I decided to try again. Not for anyone else, but for me. I knew it wouldn't be easy. I knew I'd fail again, but I wanted to keep going. So I made a list. A list of small things I could do each day. One step at a time, I told myself. That's how you grow. The first step was admitting that I needed help. It wasn't easy, but I finally told my best friend Lucas. "I don't know what's wrong," I said, tears in my eyes, "but I feel like I'm drowning." He didn't say much, just sat with me in silence and squeezed my hand. And that was enough. The next step was asking for support at school. I went to my teacher, Miss Collins. I stood there, nervous, twisting my fingers, and said, "I'm struggling with math. Can you help me?" She didn't judge me. Instead, she smiled warmly and said, "Of course, Emma. We'll figure this out together." Slowly, things began to change. It wasn't perfect. There were still nights when I cried until my pillow was soaked. But there were also moments when I felt proud, like the first time I solved a math problem on my own, or when Lucas told me how brave I was for opening up. I learned to be kind to myself, even when things felt impossible. "It's okay to struggle," I whispered to myself during hard days. Learning isn't just about grades, it's about growing, even when it's tough. Somewhere along the way, I found a love for reading. Books became my escape, and each story I read made me feel less alone. I found myself connecting with characters who struggled just like me, and their stories gave me hope. There were setbacks, too. Times when I felt like I was back at square one, but each time I reminded myself, it's okay to cry. Just don't give up. I kept moving forward, one small step at a time. Eventually, I realized that my learning route wasn't just about school or grades. It was about discovering who I was, about learning to love myself, even when I felt broken. It was about finding strength in my tears and hope in my darkest moments. Now, looking back, I can say that every struggle, every tear, every hard lesson was worth it. I became stronger, not despite my pain, but because of it. And I learned that it's okay to fall, as long as you get back up. To anyone reading this, I want you to know something important. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to cry. But don't ever give up on yourself. You are stronger than you think, and brighter days are always ahead, even when you can't see them right now. Keep going, step by step. That's how you grow. That's how you find your learning route. Some days still feel heavy, and that's okay. Healing doesn't mean you never feel sad again. It means you learn how to carry the sadness without it crushing you. There are mornings when I wake up feeling like the weight of the world is on my chest. But now I know how to breathe through it. I know it's just a bad day, not a bad life. Lucas stayed by my side through it all. You don't have to fix everything in one day, he'd remind me whenever I felt overwhelmed. He taught me how to appreciate small victories, like getting out of bed on tough days or finishing a single homework problem. Every little step counts. He'd say, with that goofy grin that always made me laugh, even when I didn't want to. There were also people I had to let go. Some friends didn't understand what I was going through. They thought I was just being dramatic, or that I needed to snap out of it. At first, it hurt to lose them, but I learned that not everyone is meant to stay in your life forever, and that's okay too. During one of the lowest points, I found comfort in journaling. I'd write everything down, the pain, the fears, the moments of joy, no matter how small. My journal became my safe space, a place where I could be honest without fear of judgment. Dear Diary, I'd write, today was hard. I felt like crying all day, but I didn't give up. I'm proud of myself. And slowly, those little notes of pride grew. They became reminders that I could survive even the toughest days. It was like planting seeds in my mind, seeds of hope that would sprout on brighter days. Ms. Collins also played a huge role in my journey. She wasn't just a teacher, she became a mentor. Emma, you're more than just your grades, she told me once after I failed a quiz. You're kind, creative, and resilient, and that matters far more than any test score. Those words stayed with me. It felt like she saw a part of me that I hadn't been able to see myself. One day after class, Ms. Collins asked me to help tutor a younger student named Daniel, who was struggling with math, just like I had been. I hesitated at first. I'm not smart enough to teach someone else, I told her. But she smiled and said, you don't have to be perfect to help someone. You just need to care. So, I gave it a try. Working with Daniel was challenging. but it also felt good. Seeing him slowly understand things reminded me of how far I had come, and for the first time in a long while, I felt truly proud of myself. Helping Daniel made me realize something important. Even when you're struggling, you can still be a light for someone else. Your scars can become someone else's survival guide. Over time, I learned to manage my emotions better. I found healthier ways to cope, like going for walks, painting, and listening to music. I discovered that crying wasn't a sign of weakness, but a way of releasing what my heart couldn't carry anymore. There were nights when I still cried, but they weren't like before. Now those tears felt different, less like drowning, more like healing. It was as if each tear washed away a little bit of the fear and pain. One rainy afternoon, I sat with my mom on the porch. We didn't say much, just watched the raindrops race down the glass. And then, out of nowhere, I told her everything. How lost I had felt. How hard it had been to keep going. Tears welled up in her eyes as she held me close. "I'm so proud of you, Emma," she whispered. "You've grown so much, and I love you more than words can say." In that moment, I realized that love, real, unconditional love, is the strongest thing in the world. It doesn't fix everything, but it makes the weight a little easier to bear. Now, at 16, I see life differently. I know that struggles don't define me, they shape me. I've learned that it's okay to ask for help and that it's okay not to have everything figured out. Life is a journey, not a race. And my learning route? It's still growing. Every new challenge, every setback, and every triumph adds another branch to it. If you're reading this and feeling lost, I want you to know you're not alone. It's okay to feel scared. It's okay to cry. But please, don't give up. There's a whole world waiting for you, full of beauty, hope, and love. Take it one day at a time. Celebrate the small victories, no matter how tiny they seem. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, not tear you down. And most importantly, be kind to yourself. Because just like roots growing underground, even when you can't see it, you are growing too. The journey didn't end there. Life kept testing me, but every challenge I faced taught me something new. There were still nights when I felt small and unsure, but I had tools now. Lucas's steady friendship, Miss Collins' wisdom, and the strength I discovered within myself. When I turned 17, I started volunteering at a local mental health center. It was a small place that offered support groups for teens struggling with anxiety and depression. I remember my first day there clearly. I was nervous, palms sweating, afraid I wouldn't know what to say. But when I sat in that circle, listening to others share their stories, I felt something shift inside me. Each person had their own struggles. Some were dealing with broken homes, others with academic pressure or loneliness. As I listened, I realized how connected we all were in our pain. It made me feel less alone, and for the first time, I believed that my story could make a difference. One afternoon, a girl named Mia sat beside me after the session. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. "I feel like I'll never be enough," she said, her eyes filling with tears. I looked at her, remembering all the times I had felt the same way. I know what that feels like, I told her gently. But you are enough right now just as you are. And it's okay not to have everything figured out. It takes time, and you're not alone. Mia's face softened, and in that moment, I understood something important. Sometimes all someone needs is to be seen, to know that their struggles are valid, and to hear that they're not alone. As the months passed, I began speaking more openly about my mental health. I wrote articles for the school paper, sharing my story with others. At first, it was terrifying, bearing my soul for everyone to see. But the messages I received from classmates and strangers made it all worth it. Thank you for sharing, one note read. Your story gave me hope when I needed it the most. I realized that vulnerability wasn't a weakness, it was a strength. By being open about my struggles, I gave others permission to do the same, and slowly, the walls that people built around their hearts began to crumble. Not every day was easy. There were still moments when I doubted myself, when I wondered if I'd ever truly be okay. But now, I had learned to ride the waves instead of drowning in them. Some days, I'd let myself cry, knowing that tears weren't a sign of defeat, but a way of releasing what no longer served me. And through it all, my learning route kept growing. It wasn't perfect or smooth. There were twists and knots along the way, moments of pain, setbacks, and lessons learned the hard way. But that's the beauty of growth. It's messy, unpredictable, and uniquely ours. On my 18th birthday, Lucas gave me a small notebook. For all the new memories you'll make, he said with a smile. I hugged him tight, grateful for his unwavering presence in my life. Friends like Lucas are rare, and I knew how lucky I was to have him. The pages of that notebook soon filled with new experiences, adventures, dreams, and moments of joy. Some pages held stories of hard days too, but they were always followed by notes of hope. I learned that life is a mix of light and dark, joy and sorrow, and that's okay. You don't need to have everything figured out right away. The important thing is to keep going, one small step at a time. When I graduated high school, I gave a speech at the ceremony. My heart raced as I stood on the stage, but I knew the words I wanted to say. I used to think that learning was just about grades, I began, my voice steady. But the truth is, the most important lessons aren't found in textbooks. They're found in the moments when we feel like giving up but choose to keep going, in the friendships that carry us through tough times, and in the quiet strength we discover within ourselves. The audience was silent, listening closely. I took a deep breath and continued. Life will challenge you. There will be days when you feel lost, when it seems like everything is falling apart. But I want you to remember something. You are not alone. And no matter how hard things get, there is always hope. You are stronger than you think, and your story matters. As I finished, the crowd erupted in applause. I smiled, feeling a sense of peace I hadn't known before. This was my story, one of struggle, hope, and growth, and it was far from over. The future stretched before me, uncertain and full of possibilities, but I wasn't afraid. I knew that no matter what came my way, I had the tools to navigate it. My learning root was strong, and it would keep growing no matter what storms came my way. And so, I leave you with this. Life isn't about having all the answers. It's about embracing the journey, the ups and downs, the joy and pain. It's about finding beauty in the struggle and strength in your tears. Keep going. Keep growing. Your learning route is waiting to blossom, and the world is better with you in it. After graduation, life felt like a blank canvas, exciting and terrifying all at once. College was just around the corner, and while most people were thrilled, I felt a familiar knot tighten in my chest. Would I be able to handle it? Would the old struggles come back to haunt me? I spent that summer trying to prepare, but not just by shopping for dorm supplies or registering for classes. I prepared my mind. I promised myself that if things got hard again, I'd ask for help sooner. No more pretending I was fine when I wasn't. No more suffering in silence. Before I knew it, moving day arrived. My parents helped carry my boxes to the tiny dorm room, and Lucas sent me a silly text. Don't forget, if the people in your dorm are weird, just call me. I'll come rescue you. I laughed out loud, feeling a little braver, because I knew he was only a phone call away. That first week at college was overwhelming. New faces, new classes, new everything. It felt like being tossed into deep water without knowing how to swim. But this time, I didn't drown. I reached out. I signed up for a peer support group on campus, and on the first day, I sat nervously in a circle of strangers. Everyone looked as lost and scared as I felt, and it made me realize that I wasn't the only one struggling with the transition. When it was my turn to share, I took a deep breath. "Hi, I'm Emma," I said, "and, well, I'm scared. But I'm also really trying to believe that it's okay not to have everything figured out." Heads nodded around the circle, and I felt a sense of belonging I hadn't expected. It was strange how comforting it was to be surrounded by people who didn't judge me, who knew exactly what it felt like to be unsure. The next few weeks were full of ups and downs. There were moments when I felt like I belonged, like when I made a new friend, Sarah, during a late-night study session. She had the warmest smile and confessed she had cried in the bathroom on her first day. "Same," I admitted with a laugh. And just like that, a new friendship began. But there were also nights when everything felt too much. I'd sit on my bed, staring out the window, wondering if I was cut out for this new life. I missed home. I missed the comfort of familiar routines. One of those nights, I called Lucas. The moment I heard his voice, I broke down. "I don't know if I can do this, Lucas," I whispered, tears streaming down my face. He was quiet for a moment, then said softly, "Emma, you don't have to be perfect. Just keep going, even when it feels hard. One step at a time, remember?" And so, I kept going. Some days were still hard, but I learned to celebrate the small victories. Getting out of bed on tough mornings, passing a quiz I thought I'd fail, or even just finding time to take care of myself. It all mattered. As the semester passed, I discovered new passions. I took a psychology class that opened my eyes to the importance of mental health, and suddenly, everything clicked. I wanted to help people, the way Ms. Collins, Lucas, and the support group had helped me. By my second year, I became a peer mentor, guiding freshmen who felt as lost as I once had. I saw myself in their worried faces, and I told them what I wished someone had told me earlier. You're not alone. You're allowed to struggle, but you are strong enough to get through it. One night, after helping a student who had been on the verge of giving up, I walked back to my dorm feeling lighter than I had in years. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was thriving. My learning root had grown deep and strong, and it was blooming in ways I hadn't imagined. Lucas and I stayed close, though life pulled us in different directions. He started working part-time at a music store, chasing his dream of becoming a songwriter. "One day I'll write a song about you," he joked during one of our late-night calls. "Just make sure it's a happy one," I teased back. And life, though still messy and unpredictable, felt good. I learned that healing isn't a straight line. There will always be setbacks, but they don't erase the progress you've made. I still cry sometimes, on stressful nights, during hard exams, or when the weight of life feels a little too heavy. But now, I know those tears are part of the journey, not the end of it. Looking back, I'm grateful for every struggle, every tear, every difficult lesson. They shaped me into someone I'm proud to be. Someone who knows that real strength isn't about never falling. It's about always getting back up. And so, the story of my learning route continues. It will keep growing, twisting, and turning through the joys and pains of life. If you ever feel like you're falling, remember this. It's okay to cry. It's okay to struggle. But never forget that you are growing, even when you can't see it. One step, one day, one moment at a time. You'll find your way. And when you do, you'll see just how strong you've become.